And coming up next, we have Karen Felix.
Y'all look at me. What the am I? Nobody knows because I am racially ambiguous. Am I Hispanic? Am I Native American? Nobody knows. But in Trump's America, I have to emphatically let people know that I am Korean. Well, South Korean, not Kim Jong-un Korean, because that can be a problem in and of itself. Well, okay, let's be honest. I'm actually half Korean, so let's dumb it down a little bit. I'm Korean on my mom's side, and I am white on my dad's side. Like German, Irish, West Virginia white. And that is a problem when I'm around my mom's friends, because if you don't know, Koreans are labeled so they look at me like I'm a knockoff. Yeah. A counterfeit Korean, if you will. Like if you could imagine my little mom bebopping around down Canal Street in New York City, she comes across one of those card tables that's got like the bootleg DVDs, the Gucci handbags that actually say Coochie, and right there on the end, mixed ethnicity babies. And there's one Korean baby left, and she picks it up. This one is a girl. I'm only paying half price.
Hey guys, we're back with the Kristen and Jonathan show. We've got a very special guest today. We are with Karen Felix.
Hey.
Pow, 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 pow. Everybody has to do it. Everybody has to do it at once.
Oh, we're supposed to do it.
I see that you're into doing stand-up comedy now, which is crazy, going from, you know, the prop master background and set dressing and all that kind of stuff. Can you kind of tell us how you started and then how you transitioned into what you're doing now?
Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a comedian, and I wanted to make movies and TV shows, and went to college, not for that, just went to college like everybody does after high school, or most people do. And then was in the restaurant industry for over 10 years and just waited tables. I was a front of house manager, a back of the house manager, and then got transferred from Knoxville, Tennessee to south of Atlanta. And I worked for a company called Cisco Food Services, and then suffered my job loss on a Black Friday, which was actually probably the best thing to happen to my career, because then I moved to Atlanta, and that's how I got into the film industry. My best friend was dating somebody who worked in film, and I just bugged the hell out of him until he gave me a contact and a phone number. And then one day on set turned into now going on almost 20-year career. Yeah, and I've always been super sarcastic and funny and witty, and just, that kind of class clown personality, and just, dibble-dabbled in stand-up a little bit, and then took Lace Larrabee's Laugh Lab class, which is an all-female comedy class. And I took it about a year ago, and it just stuck with me, and the fire just was lit under me, and I had a fire in my belly, and I've been doing it for almost about a year now. Not paying the bills with it yet, still trying to work my way up that way.
So do you see yourself, staying in Atlanta a few more years, or what do you think, where do you think you want to take it in time? Like, what's your ideal situation with comedy?
Well, I think I do see myself in Atlanta for quite a bit longer, just because it does have such a strong comedy scene here. And just even comics from LA or New York or Louisiana, wherever, they always say, they're like, we love the Atlanta comedy scene. You guys are so nice. Not only is your talent so deep, but you guys are just so nice. It's so cutthroat everywhere else, and people are just, vicious. And so it's true. Southern hospitality. Wow. And of course, we're all like, we're full, don't come. But eventually I would like to take my career out west to LA, aside from it being just kind of the pinnacle of the comedy scene. It's also, for me, I want to be a writer, a TV writer. That's my other kind of side passion that I'm working on. It is as big as the Atlanta film scene is here in Atlanta. There are no studios or writers' rooms here. They're all out in LA. So in order for me to pursue a career, I'd have to go out to LA to get that done.
It's really hard to hit the nail on the head for, what certain audiences find funny or whatever else. And I think what's so amazing about Atlanta too is, just how open everybody is to all kinds of different backgrounds. ways of life, sexuality, age,
Right.
just gender, what have you, everything, especially in the
Yeah.
LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to get kind of your thoughts on that.
Even though we're a southern state and a southern city, we're pretty liberal, and it's, being myself part of the LGBT community and being half Asian, I don't feel like an outsider like one might in a smaller southern city. So to be here and to have a platform, because a lot of my comedy is based on, my upbringing of being Korean and my coming out story. And that's where just I tell a lot of my jokes. And so people to feel comfortable on stage and tell those jokes and tell my story and find humor in it, and to see other people laughing and finding the humor as well. And I had a very unique coming out story, but even to see other people go, well, if you can deal with that, I can deal with coming out as well. Or, or just even somebody going, well, I'm a parent, I'm going to make sure if my kids come out, I'm going to remember your little joke that you told that was actually part of the story of your life,
That's the thing that
Right.
I've always loved about stand-up, is that it's giving you that permission to just be yourself.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if you've got 10 comics on a lineup, you're going to see 10 different personalities. You're absolutely right. And that is a wonderful, beautiful thing. For me, what's also interesting is to see comics go on stage and come off stage, because you almost get to see two different sides of them sometimes, you see somebody on stage so loud and making everybody laugh, and they're playing with the crowd and they're laughing, and they come off stage and they don't say two words. And you're like, wow, you're very different than your stage presence,
So do you have any advice, like a little tidbit of advice for new stand-up comedians coming out of Corona?
One, if it's something that you really, really want to do, persistence and consistency is the key. And that's something that I learned, is just going out, people, especially being new, and because the scene is really big here and we have a lot of amazing comedians that have been grinding away for years and years and years, they see people come and go all the time. So when new people come, they're like, oh, there's Karen. We don't know who she is. We've never seen her. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long she lasts. So if it's something you really want to do, you need to get out consistent so people can see your face. Even if you're not performing, go out and support shows and watch, and just encourage people. Have a thick skin. People aren't always going to find you funny. And sometimes it's not your joke. Sometimes it's just the room. Sometimes, and I've learned this, sometimes it's me. It's how I deliver it. My energy is off, or I'm just not quite feeling it. I'm tired and I'm just kind of going through the motions, and then most importantly, there's a host who does an open mic who says this, and I think this is amazing advice. And I've seen some comics who need to hear this, which is, if you want to say something offensive and edgy and people laugh, congratulations, that's funny and it's a joke. If you say something edgy and offensive and nobody laughs, you're just a and I've seen that. I've seen both. I mean, some of my jokes are edgy and on the, like I have this one joke that it's in 3 parts, and I set it up and people go, and then I do the second part and they go, and then I say the third part and then they bust out laughing, It's like, okay, and then I've seen people do this. They go, I'm not saying I don't like gay people, but, and they just list why they don't like gay people, and there's no punchline even. And it's just like, okay, that's not funny. And it's just offensive. That's not a joke. If it's not funny, record your set. If it's not funny, try to figure out why it's not funny. Is it your delivery? Is it the way you worded it? Or is it truly just not a funny joke? Right. Because going back to that 3-part joke of mine that is kind of offensive, and here's a thing that I've learned from doing comedy for a year, is that a joke may be good for one time, but then just because political climates change, economic climates change, sometimes the joke doesn't carry through. And I learned that joke that normally kills and crush, I mean, like, it would get what you call an applause break. That's when the audience is like, ha, 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 and they start clapping and you have to take a second. It went from that to, oh, I mean, literally, like, I heard people gasp, and I'm like, I'm going to quit telling it until I can reword it, or it just may go away forever, even though I think it's funny. The crowd doesn't think it's funny anymore, And so you have to listen to the crowd too.
Yeah. Before we go to our sponsors, is there anything that you would need to give a shout out for?
You can follow me on Twitter, Karen Felix, Instagram, Nurak Felix. Narac is Karen backwards. Other than that, that's it. Can't wait for the city to open up, and thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We're going to go to our sponsors.